welcome back to the MMA Split podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Josh.
I'm Sylvester.
And we are back to talk about everything that's happened in the world of MMA and UFC in the last week or so, looking mainly at the massive card and breaking down everything that happened at UFC 265 in Houston, talking about the newly crowned interim champ, all the other exciting fights that happened. Look ahead to the news as well, and we'll do a little touch on what to expect coming up this week in Bellator and PFL. No UFC this weekend, so there won't be a pick show, but we will spend a few minutes just telling you what fights are worth watching coming up this weekend. For now, only place that we can start, place that we always start, last weekend's main action event, and we got to talk about that main event. Josh, you and me, I think all of us wanted to see Lewis win. Tommy Trolls and Sylvester were smart enough to play the sensible pick and go Cyril Gane. And he didn't just win by a masterclass. He landed over 100 strikes, TKO'd him in the third round. And I think Lewis only landed 3 significant strikes the entire fight. 1 leg kick, 1 punch to the stomach, 1 punch to the face. And then I think 5 less significant or partially landed strikes. This was destruction, guys.
I told you guys.
Yeah, I just right off the bat. What are you eating today, Sly?
Pizza with jamon serrano.
Man, I don't think, obviously Gane was better than Lewis everywhere. I don't think Lewis was necessarily a stupid pick. The thing is, the guy has made his career being able to land that overhand right. You know, he did it much better than Roy Nelson was ever able to do it, and he was ridiculously successful with it. People knew it was coming, and he still found a way to land it, even if it was in the dying seconds of the fight. But man, Gane really put it on him. Gane really put it on him. Gane just continues to impress me, Matt. I don't know what this guy can't do. Okay, he can go to the ground, he can submit you, he can snipe you from the outside, he can get inside with slick combos, he can push the pace, he can slow it down. He just hits and doesn't get hit, and he just keeps marching on his way. Go on.
Beat and Gane.
Well,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But let's just talk about the performance first. I'm on the hype train. I've been off it for a while. He's fought a lot of guys that I really like, are personal favorites of mine, and that bias and fan bias in me has made me dislike him for beating these fighters that I like more. He's really good, man. He's really, really good. He's a middleweight with the size of a heavyweight, fighting with the intelligence and game plan of a lightweight. It's outstanding. And when he tries to finish you, when he wants to, when he's willing to take that risk, when he thinks that he's smelling blood, he can finish, man. Lewis has got a chin. He can take some punches, and he just got worn down. The leg kicks. I mean, it was, you want to talk about the quintessential way to beat a fighter like Derek Lewis. He executed it. Leg kicks, chopping the tree down, winding him up with the jab, landing that jab on the eye every single time, irritating Lewis, frustrating him. It was outstanding. What I do want to ask you guys, though, do we think that this was really just all Gane? Or, because I'm of the opinion as well, and I want to see if you guys agree on this, I think Lewis laid an egg as well.
No. Well,
not to say that he would have won if he didn't lay an egg, but I think people talk about home advantage and it not being a real thing in terms of for fighters, adding pressure and adding weight and affecting your ability to perform at your best. I think this guy had all the pressure on, and I think he gave himself the worst opportunity to perform. I'm not saying he would have won. I'm not saying he would have won regardless, but I think he might have landed 3 more strikes if this wasn't in Houston, Texas.
Oh, maybe, but I blasted Rosenstruck for being completely useless against Gane. And now that I've seen Lewis be completely useless against Gane, I reverse kind of what I said about Rosenstruck, and I think it's just that Gane is just too fast, too smart, and too impossible to hit unless you've got speed. Lewis doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the, I'm not talking about the speed of his fists, landing on your face. I'm talking about the speed of closing the space down. And Gane's too smart. You saw Gane every time that Lewis rushed him, he did that kind of bulldog kind of rush. Gane just ran away, just turned around and ran and went, okay, we're not doing this today.
I made the mistake of thinking that Lewis's explosivity was going to be enough to cover the distance. But like you say, it only works in that final half bit. He couldn't get close enough. And mistakes were made. I didn't think he did a great job of cutting the fence off. I think there were moments when he could have applied pressure more effectively. And this is kind of why I'm touching on sort of him not being at his best as well. But it's a little bit like what people used to say about Adesanya. They always used to say, oh, he's not that great. The other guy laid an egg. The other guy didn't do anything. He got caught in the illusion. And after you see so many different guys get caught in the same trap, eventually you have to say, it's not these other guys. It's what this person is doing to them. And I think that's the case with Gane. I don't know if he beats Ngannou. To be honest, I think with his style, he's really well suited to beat these brawling, flat-footed heavy hitters. I'd be really interested to see how that style works against somebody with a real wrestling threat like a Curtis Blades. I think he might be the answer to that particular puzzle. Francis Ngannou is so athletic. He's so unorthodox. I think there might, punches are going to come from angles that Gane won't expect. I don't know how he's going to handle that side. I don't know how he'd handle somebody like Stipe, who's quick and has good hands and can move around and mix it up a little bit. But what I can say is that from what he's done so far, 3 years in MMA, he'd done 3 years of Muay Thai before that. He was a basketball player. This is a special athlete, and he learns so quickly. It's not just that he's not just an athlete that's coming in knocking guys out. The fact that in 6 years he's learned and improved technically as much as he has is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm terrified to think about how good this guy could be in 2 years' time.
Well, I'm scared that he might actually put a challenge for Ngannou. Still.
Well, they've put the rounds in. I don't think Gane would be so excited to get the title shot if he didn't realistically think that he had Ngannou's number. Now, obviously, Ngannou's added that wrestling threat, and his stand-up game has improved somewhat since he used to train with Gane. But I think Gane would be very confident in himself. He's definitely going to back himself on that one. Jesus, do you remember when we thought that Gane against Volkov was going to be close?
Yeah.
And look where we are now. It's I can't keep underestimating him. No. I think you're right. Curtis Blades would present a big issue. Stipe Miocic potentially could be a fucking lights out fight. And I think the one with Ngannou, being able to defensively wrestle and kind of having that part of his game, whether or not he's going to use it against a guy like Gane early enough to make a difference, who knows? But I think I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a great fucking fight. I cannot believe the way the UFC mugged off Francis though before the event.
I completely agree, but they're trying to send him a message, I think.
Didn't he just ask for the fight to be in September?
Yep.
Wasn't that his
Yep. And it's a different story, I think, for Lewis, potentially, if that had happened and they did it in September against Francis. I think Lewis has a puncher's chance to beat somebody like Ngannou. He never had a chance against Gane. And I don't know if Francis beats him. I really don't. I think he'd probably have to go in his favorite just because of how terrifying he is. But he's shown to get tired. He's got no real experience of winning a 5-round fight. And he's not technically that good. He hasn't had to be. I could see Gane just outclassing him. I really could. But I could also see for Ngannou just being so powerful, so quick, so explosive that it just nullifies everything else. It's a fucking cracking fight, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely cracking fight. As for Derek Lewis, come on, we still love this guy, man. He's just not going to be a champ. He's going to be a guy that can beat a lot of guys and have a lot of fun fights. I don't think he's got what it takes to be the champ. I don't.
I mean, no, it would take a miracle now. That being said, I think the heavyweight division is starting to shake out a little bit. And with everyone around him booked, he'd probably be looking at maybe like the winner of Abdurakhimov and Dorcas, or maybe the loser of, who's Rosenstrike fighting?
Curtis Blades.
So, do you know what I mean? Like, depending on how things like kind of pan out, it's like who's he gonna fight? And if they keep getting a turnover of champs, they might be able to get more heavyweight fights in. I don't know where the fuck John Jones figures in any of this at the moment as well. Whole thing's just crazy. But stranger things have happened, you know.
I think John Jones beats Gunn. I think if you look at
John Jones beats a lot of these guys.
I think Jones has the best style to be able to deal with that, and he's having to deal with the guy that offers the least amount of power increase. And the speed won't be as surprising for him. He'd be much more used to that from what he's dealt with a light heavyweight. But we're going to find out. It's Gane who moves on. They could set this fight up at any point before the end of the year. I'd love to see it on something like the December card. Massive card, headlining that. You know, two guys, connections to Paris, easily marketable. Yeah, this is impressive. And I'll say this to Cyril Gane as well. He could have paced that and won on a 5-round decision. And he took a couple of risks in that 3rd round because he wanted to show that he can finish fights. Flawless performance. Absolutely flawless. I'm on the train. Talking about flawless performances. King of Rio. Holy shit, he looked good. So for everyone who maybe wasn't aware, me and Sly did a Twitch stream, our first Twitch stream watch along for this pay-per-view main card. And we had a few people being active in the chat, which is fantastic. I think we had a really good time. Hopefully brought in a couple of new fans. And during this fight, we were watching it, and obviously this guy was saying that the betting line in the first round was really starting to favor Munoz. He's like, everyone's saying he's landing loads of leg kicks. When I get responding to this guy, I was like, I don't think he's landing these kicks. They look like they're getting checked. It looks like Aldo is just with flawless stance and technique, just moving the knee and just checking every single one. And he was. He defensively brilliant in the first round, started opening things up in the second, and that 3rd round, some of the speed of those combinations was ridiculous.
No, Aldo looked really good. Aldo looked solid.
He looked big as well compared to Munoz. For 1 inch in height difference, he just looks like a bigger human being.
Yeah, well, you know, Munoz, I don't know, the way he kind of fights like kind of low as well. And Aldo will fight like a little higher, but man, is this it for Munoz? Is he has he peaked?
Yeah, I think that's it. He's going down now.
Was that close decision of Frankie Edgar, you know, the best that we're gonna get?
I don't think
it's heartbreaking.
I think he's still got plenty of fight in him. I just don't think he's going to get better. And it's an awkward one because he can outclass a lot of guys from a certain ranking down. But it's just when he's fighting that elite of the elite, the real top 5 guys contending for the title, I don't think he's got enough to offer them problems.
Yeah, he doesn't look bad, but he just never, he just can't make up the distance. It's, man, and I thought Aldo at this age, we really didn't know. I mean, I picked him, but I didn't know. Aldo looked good. You think Aldo's going to get another crack at the gold?
I think 1 or 2 more fights, I think he could. Because the Peter Yan fight was good. He lost it in the second half of the 4th. It ran away from him, and then the 5th was brutal. But for 3.5 rounds, that was a close fight. And we know how good Peter Yan is. I mean, he's going to be the champion again in a couple of months. I don't think any of us are really expecting anything other. You got to hand it to Aldo, man. He's such a legend. And the whole fight week, I thought he handled himself really well. They did a great piece where he was looking back at his career and kind of talking about all these big moments that he had. And you just get the sense this is just a really decent, humble guy. Even asked about Conor McGregor. And of all the people that you think would be first to shit on Conor McGregor, you think Jose Aldo. But was incredibly respectful. Says, I never doubt the heart of a champion.
No,
so fair play.
On the other side of things, Conor McGregor also posted what a legend Aldo is on his social media, praising Aldo as a top fighter and saying he had a great fight.
Yeah,
he posted some other shit too.
True. And also it is undeniable. Aldo, Just the fact that he can be through everything he's been through, still stay relevant. And if you take away the Marlon Moraes fight, which everybody thinks he won, he's only ever in the WEC and UFC lost to world champions. Volkanovski, Max, Conor McGregor, PT Young. That
Marlon Moraes one, that loss earned him a title shot. So it tells you what Dana White thought of it.
Absolutely. Great for Aldo, gutting for Pedro Munhoz, but some guys, he's just not got any one aspect that's elite enough to cover for everything else. He's not big enough. It's not his fault, but it is what it is. It is what it is, kind of applies to our next fight as well. I thought Fiesha was going to get it done. I thought his top control, some other pressure was going to be enough. The first 3.5 minutes, I thought he looked really, really good. But he lost this fight almost identically to how he lost against Masvidal. Almost identically. Pressuring a submission, going for it, and then just switching off in that scramble, in that momentary transition, just having a lapse of concentration. And it's the same choke he lost to Masvidal with, the Darce choke.
And it's Luque's go-to choke.
Second Darce in a row for
Luque. Luque's a beast. Man.
Yeah, I think 4th overall in the UFC. So, Fiesha would have done his homework. Man, when he takes it back, usually that's kind of it. But he's come out and said, he was feeling the pressure. He piled on himself a little too much leading up to this fight, and he kind of used it that he cracked. And man, I knew Luque was going to give him a lot of problems on the ground. I did not think he was going to submit him. That was really, really nice. The way he finished that Darce was real slick.
I think Luque's proving whether you're trying to knock him out or submit him. You ain't doing it at the first attempt, the second attempt, the third attempt, the fourth attempt, the fifth attempt. Woodley was hitting him with bombs in that fight. Enough bombs that even he probably thought he had it, it was going to be done. But it wasn't. Fiesha probably thought there was no way I'm not getting this choke in at this point. Luque's still going to be there. How many times, even though he lost to Wonderboy Thompson, how many points across that 15 minutes is Wonderboy's breaking his hands on his face? Must have Thompson been thinking, for fuck's sake, go the fuck down. This is over. Why are you still here?
Yeah, man. I mean, Leon Edwards, that was a decision as well, right?
Yeah.
This guy,
impossible.
We know how tough he is. We know how tough he is.
I loved his call out as well to Usman.
Very respectful.
Leon Edwards, take a note. Take a fucking note from this guy. Okay, this is how you ask for the title shot. And I figured it out. This is actually a really important thing I've only just noticed after Saturday. Don't say, Dana, I deserve a title shot. Don't say, generally, I should get a title shot. Call out the champ. Ask him for the title shot. It seems to work. It worked for Gilbert. It worked for Masvidal. It's worked for Colby. It's worked for a lot of guys. Don't put it on Dana. Put it on the champ. Imagine if Leon Edwards had gone, I've done all this work. Usman, you beat me 6 years ago. I wanted to get that back ever since. I think we're the best star matchup. Come on, let's do this. He might have got the title shot. But instead he goes, I deserve a title shot. Yeah, that's me done. Nah, title shot, mate. I'll way out for my title shot. Not the right way to do it. I could see Luque getting a shot before Leon at this rate.
Well, I mean, the champ's got someone up on deck, right? So unless that fight falls apart, I think Leon's got to fight Luque.
That's a sick fight. What do you think, guys? Who wins that?
Luque wins it.
I don't know, man. Edwards is still very, very good and big and fast.
They have already fought.
Yeah, and Edwards won.
Edwards won.
So but it was a while ago.
I think Luque's improved more in that period than Edwards has as well.
Hard to say because Edwards has really rounded out his game. Constantly improving on that. So tough to say. This is why I want to see it though. I don't think of it so much as a rematch. I just think of it as like the first time everyone's going to care about that fight. So
what you're saying is this isn't Superman 3. This is Man of Steel. This is the reboot. I like that.
Exactly.
I like that. For Chiesa, I don't think he loses too much ground here. He's still a top 5 fighter. This was his first loss at welterweight. He made a mistake.
I think he's top 6 now, at least.
Yeah. He was top 5. He'll be out of that probably by tomorrow when they update the rankings. But it only takes one big fight and he's back in the mix. And there's a lot of guys that he hasn't fought in that top 10. So a lot of matchups to make.
It's hard to make ground in that welterweight division. Like, I think especially now, I don't know, as soon as you go 6th, you've lost against one of the top 5s. He's going to need like at least 3 wins before or 4 wins before he's a title shot. You know what I mean? Like, it's a long way to go now.
Depends who you beat. Let's say he wins a fight against somebody in the top 10. Okay, someone else drops out injured. He takes a short notice replacement. Wow. Suddenly he's back in the mix. It's the advantage with welterweight is a lot of these guys are getting on in years now. They're a little bit older. They haven't got as many fights left. And some of them are developing a reputation of not being willing to fight each other. So if you're a guy that's willing to fight anybody, put your name in, it will get you in. It will get you far in this division. It got Gilbert Burns to the #1 contender spot.
True.
And now he deserves to be there. So fair enough.
And frankly, there's not a lot of guys in the top 5 that haven't lost to Usman or lost recently. In the case of Wonderboy, man, it's wide fucking open, to be honest.
I'd like to see Chiesa versus Wonderboy.
Yeah, that would be a good fight.
That's the fight to do. Let's go down the rest of the cards. Fiesha Torres versus Angela Hill. Slight. We're watching this, and after 2 rounds of Angela Hill putting up a fight, but very clearly 2 rounds down and getting outworked. What does her coach say to her? That we just couldn't believe? We want you to go for the takedown. Oh, yeah,
go for a takedown. Take this to the ground. I'm like, but you're 2 rounds down. Why would you go to the ground in the 3rd round with no real, like, you know, she's not going to submit her.
She did. Well, she's got the frame for it. She's got the training partner in Pane, and she looked much improved in her grappling, to be fair. But I don't, if you get into, like, Fiesha Torres looked peak. She was out hustling one of the busiest strikers in that division. I think if they know that she's got, you know, a good triangle choke, or if she can work a good armbar with those long legs, maybe that was going to be their only path to victory as they saw it, because she wasn't going to knock her out. She wasn't going to get the better of her on the feet. Fiesha Torres just put a clinic on her. I'm so glad we finally got this fight. What a great fight.
It was good. It was good. And I thought Angela Hill did look much improved grappling. I just think Sly even called it. It's like she's put so much time on the grappling and almost taken the striking for granted.
Yeah, it looks like she's not been training her top game. She just trained her ground game.
Well, we have no idea, but I would say more Fiesha Torres did an amazing job. That was a great performance. I want to take anything away from Angie. It was a good fight.
On the embedded, when they were talking to Angela Hill, she did say that I very much view myself like a video game character. And if I had a skill tree, the striking is as maxed out as you can get. The striking is completed. The striking is done. It's just all the grappling aspects that I had to level up. So that's literally why I had it in mind as well. She literally approached it thinking this girl can't handle me on the feet. It's just that grappling. And I think maybe that sort of threw off her preparation. Maybe she just over grappled and kind of went away from what got her to the dance.
Maybe, but it is what she needs to be doing if she wants to be at the top of that division. She does need to round out her skills. So, you know, it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I don't think there was any way of beating Fiesha Torres on that night, though. Fiesha, best I've ever seen her.
I don't disagree with that. First fight on the main card, kicked things off very nicely. Song Yudong against Casey Kenny. I got this one wrong as well. Casey Kenny looked good. He just isn't as explosive, doesn't throw in combination enough. Song really made sure that when he was landing, it was, you know, he's throwing 3, 4, 5, 6 punch combinations. Even if the first couple aren't landing, he's getting something across. And I think that made a huge difference.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was just that Casey Kenny can't do that or wasn't willing to do that. I just think at some point, Song Yudong, just the pace was a little more. You know, he never overwhelmed him. This was a close fight, but Jesus Christ, those boys were going hard. and Song was always going a little harder. It was just
Yeah.
I finally wanted to really be seeing from Song Yadong.
Yeah, he really came out and looks impressive and needed to as well. He had the loss to Kyler Phillips. Before that, he had the win against Cheeto that people didn't think he won. This was a fight that really reestablishes why Team Alpha Male were going crazy about this kid.
Yeah.
And apparently he loves to fight. He just absolutely loves it. He lives for it. And he enjoys it. And I think you could see that. Kenny,
yeah, that's what you want to hear.
For Casey Kenny, he's a really good fighter, but I kind of felt this before the fight. I was like, both these guys are talented. They're both coming off a loss. It's going to be really rough for the guy that loses this with all the talent and good work they've done to end up suddenly being on a 2-fight losing skid. And that's where Casey Kenny is, the fight against Dom, now Song. It's tough for him and he needs a bounce back fight. But I think he's good enough to respond. Song Yadong, move on, fight somebody ranked. I bet Cheeto would love to get a rematch against you at some point, avenge that injustice. Loads of fun fights for that guy to go.
Maybe. Through. I think Cheeto though is already pushed up to that next level. I think Cheeto needs a bigger fight next.
True.
But it would be a cool one to see.
We'll see what happens anyway. Prelims were a lot of fun. We've got to talk about Physio versus Bobby Green. Man, this was good. I thought Bobby Green was going to get kind of done here. And he lost the fight, but he looked fucking incredible in those second and third rounds.
Do you think the third round merited a 10-8?
I think the third round was a 10-9. I can't believe one judge gave it 30-27.
Yeah,
I thought that was
30-27. I can't believe that.
Absolute fucking joke. Disrespect. And particularly to Bobby Green, who's been on the end of so many controversial split decision losses and questionable decision losses. It's unfortunate. But when this fight got booked, I thought they were really doing Bobby no favors. He off a loss, he had that bad weight miss and pull out the last fight. This felt like punishment for it. And he showed that he's just as game as Physio. Different day, different night, maybe he wins that fight.
Yeah.
That second round was razor close. I thought it was going to maybe be a split decision towards Physio, but the fight ended. I had no idea who won. And kind of nice to see Physio looking human.
Well, this was weird. He came out looking very nervous. He was bouncing around a lot more than usual, not very efficiently. Just looked a little too hyped up for it. And, we thought Physio was getting KO Green, to be fair. But we know how good Green is. Everyone does. There's a reason he's used for the lead-in for the pay-per-view. He's going to ramp up the excitement level. I think Physio maybe just had a little too much respect for Green going into the fight, and that started showing more and more throughout, but for good reason. I just think if Physio continues to build from here, I doubt he'll come out is amped up for his next performance. I'm sure he'll be very conscious of what went wrong here. He's a fucking exciting guy. He usually fights with so much poise. And obviously, as the fight went on, you saw the nerves go. Obviously, the
energy,
the tiredness starts to come in. The fatigue comes in. And Bobby Green just got stronger and stronger as the fight went on. So look at that. He had strike differential in the third round was 23. I mean, I think that is very much on the cusp under the new scoring system, being a 10-8, especially with the way he rocked Physio in some of those exchanges. But I was worried. I didn't know if my pick was going to come good because we all picked Physio, or if it was going to be a draw. And then that one judge gives it 30-27. Egregious.
Such a joke. Such a joke. Very unfortunate and disrespectful for Bob, but he's going to be back. The UFC know that they've got a fucking stud with this guy. He might not win every fight, but he's going to be showing up every single time. Crazy style, hands down, bobbing and weaving. You'd think it wouldn't work in MMA, but he makes it work.
I would have loved that fight to be 5 rounds.
Yeah,
5 rounds, Bobby wins that.
Well, I would have loved to see
4 rounds. Bobby won that fight.
Yeah. Maybe just an extra 2 minutes he needed. But c'est la vie. We'll move down the rest of the cards. Vince Morales against Draco Rodriguez. This was a good fight. Yeah. Pretty back and forth, pretty close. Draco won. No, Morales won, but it could have gone either way. The nice thing is, at least we all picked that fight, so I wasn't alone on my incorrect pick there. So that made me feel better. Manyfield gets the first decision win of his career. How does, everyone was saying he looked really good. I thought he looks like he didn't quite understand how to not just knock somebody out. Like the concept of fighting intelligently is something that it felt like he was learning how to do in the octagon with a slow but fucking tough as nails Ed Herman. And that leg was pretty disgusting.
Yeah, he had him in a lot of trouble there. Again, fighters giving each other maybe a little too much respect. Probably should have been able to finish that fight, but take nothing away from Ed Herman. I don't know how he hung in there. He just did. To be fair to Manyfield, I like the low kick strategy. Clearly paid a lot of dividends. Probably not going to be as effective against anyone even halfway athletic. You really need to start mixing it in more. Hiding it behind the combinations better, and paced himself. He was there all the way to the end of the fight, albeit it's not like Ed Herman was pushing him hard, but still, there's a lot of positives to take away.
You have to get past it. Dealing with somebody that you hit with bombs and doesn't ever go away can mentally be a difficult thing to get over. And being able to stay calm, manage that, deal with it, and stay composed. It's a good win. And he needed that win, Manyfield. So good for him. What was the opening fight? Oh, yeah, Carolina Vence Penne. We kind of called this one, man. Carolina is broken. The poor girl hung on to that, desperately tried to hang on and stop that armbar from happening for a solid 3 minutes. And in the end,
she made a guy of it. There was one point I thought Penne was going to lose it. I thought the elbow was out, but spikes her back down, spikes her straight into it, and just, Jesus Christ, I'm so happy for Penne.
Yeah, she's looking good. That's 2 wins back after a suspension.
Do you remember the specifics? Because she was like the first one to get done for the the blood passport, so kind of the long-term monitoring of samples. And then they reduced the 4-year sentence down to 2. I don't really know what happened there.
My understanding is that she had a 2-year suspension and then got popped for something else and then was suspended yet again for another 2 years. Or she had like a 6-month suspension and then a different one for 4 years. But she seems to, a lot of the way that they've changed how they look at these things happened after her suspension was kind of nailed in. This was before the John Jones picogram, the Nate Diaz situation, all of that. And whereas I think, I don't know the details, but my understanding is that what probably might have been a 3 to 6 month suspension ended up being across 2 different situations, 4 years, which is devastating for a career. But she's back, she's winning, she's testing clean, so that's good. And on to bigger things. She hasn't got a lot of time to make a run. Now is the opportunity, but she didn't take any damage, so she can get another fight in quickly. We've got to talk about your boy. Your boy, he might have missed fucking weight, but he came good.
Yeah. Yeah, finally debuts. Finally. The other shit didn't count. To be honest, really pissed me off the weight miss. That came in after we did our pick show.
Yep.
And, you can't talk that much shit after you miss weight. You can't be talking about championships and everything else. Win a fight in that division first. Make weight and win a fight first. But he did look fucking fantastic.
Did you know that Ode Osborne, because of that weight miss, is now the first guy in the UFC to have his first 3 fights technically be in 3 different weight classes? So his first fight was short notice at bantamweight against Kev Boom Kelleher. Then he had a fight at his normal weight of 125, which he won. And then this third fight was at a catch weight of 129 because of the miss.
Wow.
Some guys don't have it easy. I don't think, particularly if you have Boom Kelleher as your debut fight in the UFC, that's nobody doing you any favors there. But yeah, your boy's back. He needs to make weight and do this again. He needs to connect those 2 dots. He made weight the first 2 times and didn't perform. He didn't make weight and performed. Just need to fucking get those 2 together and we can start talking about contender.
Yeah, and I'm glad that he actually understood that the first round counts towards the fight. That was nice to see. So finally, a change of tactics there, much needed.
Excellent. And then let's round this up quickly. Miles Johns looked fucking awesome against Dos Santos. Really good fight. Really impressive win. Dos Santos is a tough motherfucker.
Yeah,
that
beautiful finish.
Finish was fantastic. Overhand right, sent him down. Miles Johns is a beast. Good for him. This is the part of the card where I was doing all right on my picks. Started off so well. I had so much confidence. Melissa Gatto got it done by KO. It was so satisfying because I did my pick for KO and then Sly was like, well, mate, if you'd actually done any research.
They tried to submit each other. They went for it a little bit. And then eventually.
Melissa Gatto is a submission queen. She got it by fucking knockout.
Well, it's not really a KO.
Good.
It can't.
No, you broke a lady's arm. That's not a doctor's stoppage in my mind. It's not like getting like a cut in a bad place.
How did she break her arm?
It must have been blocking a kick or something. I don't know. I haven't seen exactly when it happened, but she was getting brutalized. I don't think it was on the ground, but it could have been. I don't know. It
counts as a KO. Gatto looked good. Leonardo just looked really tired after the end of the first round.
Yeah, and she couldn't deal with the speed, the distance. Gatto's hands were so fast and she's so long. Just, I don't know. It was a total mismatch. Leonardo's tough as all hell though. Was genuinely disappointed when they wouldn't let her fight on with a broken arm.
Yeah,
that's my kind of fighter. But she had no answer for Gatto.
The problem is, and I'm not saying that I'm an advocate of this for fighters because this isn't a good thing for your long-term health. If you don't want to fight to get stopped, you have to be so fucking coy about mentioning it to your corner, because as soon as the doctors overhear something like that, they're straight in. You either have to keep it to yourself or you have to do the Bobby Knuckles where you just literally whisper to your coaches, it's happened. And they go, where? And he goes, you know where. Because otherwise people overhear.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but the fight with this, as soon as she even mentioned it, I thought, they're going to send the doctors in. You said that too loud. They can hear you. It's on the broadcast.
Well, fighter safety is the most important thing, but I still like the attitude.
Agreed. Oh God, what's his name? Johnny Munoz looked really, really good against Jamie Simmons. Jamie just had wrestling and then he got out wrestled and overwhelmed and out jiu-jitsu'd.
Yeah.
Good card. Very good card. Always disappointing when the guy you wanted to win loses, but there were so many good fights.
Who won the picks?
Oh, God, yeah. So I ended up on 7. You bastards ended up on 9. So we've got to do a method rundown, starting with the main card. You would have gone KO, I believe. Decision. So you didn't get that one. You went Luque by...
But we need to see which ones we got the same.
No, that's... No. You have to get the most methods.
Right, I'll give you the one. So the Gane, decision. Munoz, sub.
Yep.
Then decision until Fiesha, which I will get KO.
So hang on a sec. So you went Luque but by decision.
Yeah.
You went Fiesha Torres by decision.
Oh, no, Luque didn't had Fiesha.
Oh, you went Fiesha Torres. Oh. So how many? So you got 1.
I think you got 8 then.
Wait. Yeah, I got 8 then.
1, 2,
yeah, I got 8.
3.
Josh wins it.
Yeah. Josh wins. Josh got 9. He wins the picks. His first win in a while.
Didn't I win last week?
We don't need to talk about that.
And I think I won 2 weeks in a row before the week where I only got 2
I think
right.
Josh has been
Sometimes Matt says things without thinking. It happens, all right? Let's move past it, guys.
It's all right.
Great card. Card is over. We don't know if you've got the picks right yet. Because Tommy trolls.
Oh yeah, that's true
as well.
Yes.
We're gonna have to do it to be continued on this picks, because I'm gonna have to speak to Tom, and on our next show we will reveal the winner officially. Whether that be Tommy Trolls or yourself, we will confirm. For now, we're gonna stop talking about the UFC and we're gonna quickly look ahead this week, because there is no UFC on, but we've got Bellator and the PFL. I'm going to be honest, not overly versed on both, but just to highlight people that want to watch. Bellator 264, we got Gegard Mousasi taking on John Salter. Gegard Mousasi, always exciting and fun to see. Going to be a great main event. And definitely worth checking out Koreshkov against Sabah Hamasi as well. Should be a really entertaining fight, as well as Magomedov. I've never heard of Rufian Stotts, but I don't think he's got much hope.
He trains at Rufus Sports. So he trains with the champ Sergio Pettis. And he's good. This has got a title eliminator written all over it. That's going to be a great fight.
Nice.
And yeah, a couple of other exciting guys on the card that I don't know of, but those first few fights definitely worth checking out. That is on starting 3 a.m. on August 14th. So early hours of Saturday morning for us. Would that be here? Yeah, that's Friday night card.
Yeah.
Saturday morning if you're over on this part of the world. And we've also got PFL 7, Rory McDonald taking on Ray Cooper. This is going to be a really fun fight, as well as Sabadou Sai taking on Magomed Karimov. My God, these guys like to have similar names, don't they?
He is a fucking sick fighter, though. That's some good match, mate. It's a good night of fights. You got the welterweight and the lightweight semifinals.
Yeah,
Friday.
Clay Collard taking on Manfio, Radzhabov taking on Martinez. And prelims is looking really fun as well. A couple of you got Curtis Millender taking on Gleason Tebow, and Daryl Horcher taking on Olivier Aubin Mercier. So a couple of old names from former UFC fighters. So no UFC, but if you are dedicated and want to see some fights, there is action available for you. Final thing, let's move across and have a quick look at the news. Sylvester, have you found any interesting news stories in the world of MMA for us?
I've got double news coming from Sean O'Malley.
Double news.
Started the UFC. Sean O'Malley is really not happy because he's complaining again that the UFC is underpaying him, and he's just really not happy about it. He says that he's being abused, that he should be getting paid more.
Is this fighter pay or is this the apparel pay? Because I know he was complaining about that previously.
He complained about previously, and now he's complained again. There's just big complaints saying that the UFC, should be. I think he's got a long-term contract on, and it's not been changed. If I understand properly.
No, that's not true. He signed a new contract a couple of fights ago. Maybe 3 fights ago. He definitely.
He's just criticizing that they're unwilling to pay him what he feels he's worth as one of the rising stars in the sport. But we don't know exact figures. Other news from Sean O'Malley. It's actually not Sean O'Malley himself, but Rockhold, Luke Rockhold, the drunk Luke Rockhold.
Good old Luke Rockhold.
Was apparently pestering his father, so Sean O'Malley's father, whilst in Montana. So that's double Sean O'Malley news for you guys.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, Luke Rockhold is a dick. He probably gets drunk. I imagine he's more of a dick when he's drunk. It feels like the kind of thing he would do.
Other news as well. Dana White actually upgraded Logan Paul's ticket at the UFC 264. Reason being that he was scared that if Logan Paul was within the fans, he would have got probably hurt by some of the fans. So he got upgraded to more VIP seating.
I kind of feel sorry for Logan Paul when it comes to his relationship with Dana White, because he has said on many times, he's like, my brother is a massive cock, and he is just going hell for leather at Dana White. I love the UFC. I used to get tickets. I don't get tickets for free anymore. I don't even get allowed to buy tickets sometimes. I want to be able to go. These are fun nights.
Aldo was impressive, as we said, and he expects to be fighting TJ Dillashaw at UFC 265 after UFC 265, hopefully by December.
Just slow down. So that's interesting. I just want to go back to one thing with the O'Malley news, because I couldn't help see it in the article. I think he's either they're talking about him being booked, or he is booked to fight on the New York card, which I think is 26. Is that 267 or 268? The New York card. I think it's 268.
November is 268.
268. And what I could see there is him going, I don't want to fight in New York. So I think some of this fighter pay might be related to the fact that when he's fighting maybe in Vegas or other states, he's not having to pay the same amount of taxation.
Yeah.
But in New York, a much bigger section of his money is being taken by taxes, because New York is a fucked state and a fucked city. So I think that might be driving it.
Yeah, UFC 268.
Might be the Michael Chandler thing as well. If he isn't vaccinated for any reason, they are going to presumably be requiring that. Sorry, it's October, not November. I don't know why I said November, but
No. I think it is. It is October. It is November because 266 is in September. 267 is in October. So yeah, 268 is in November. You're right.
I just can't count.
Just can't count. That's all right.
Yeah.
You don't need to count to be on a podcast.
If any of you guys follow Leon Edwards on Twitter, he responded to Luque's demands to obviously leapfrog him
Of course
for
he
the
did.
UC title by posting a picture of him beating Luque up from obviously the last fight they had against each other.
That's the wrong way to approach this because the response, one, it's fight talk. It's going to make it more likely that they try and book that fight. And secondly, all Luque needs to do is post a picture of something that's never happened to him, that's happened to Leon Edwards, and he can pick either getting rocked by Nate Diaz or he can pick Usman punching Leon in the face, which is something that hasn't happened to him. Leon does not handle these things well, in my opinion.
No, he could do with a social media manager, I suppose. That's fucking stupid. Can we just go back to Aldo?
Oh yeah,
Ask for Dillashaw.
He expects
That's
it.
a fun.
He expects it. He expects it. He didn't ask. He just expects it.
I expects it. Well, fuck, I want it. That would be a fun fight.
Well, I think here's the problem though. TJ is going to try and campaign for a title shot, but my understanding is his knee is fucked.
Yep.
I don't think he's fighting for the rest of this year. I really don't.
Chad Mendes spilled the beans on Joe Rogan saying he was getting surgery on it. And frankly, you know, Aldo can bitch and moan all he wants. He's fighting Jan next. That's happening.
It's already booked.
So, yeah. And Aldo will continue to say that he doesn't need to fight him again. But
here's the thing. Let's say TJ is not going to be fighting until April minimum, right? Or April, May would be a targeted time for him to come back. That is just the right amount of time after the Jan Aldo rematch for him to be the next contender. It almost lines up perfectly. It couldn't be better timing. So yeah, I think he can just sit there and he's going to get his title shot. He's 35 years old. Whether or not you like the suspension, he was suspended for the drug thing. He was suspended for 2 years. He's dealt with it. The UFC won't be holding that against him. I think he's got next title shot for sure. In terms of Aldo, man, there's so many good fights for him. I'd like to see Rob Font. You want Aldo to be a title contender? That's a title eliminator fight right there.
Yeah. Aldo doesn't like to fight very often though. He's like a one a year, if that. And if he sits out and waits for Dillashaw and Dillashaw comes back, if he can make it happen, that is also a definite title eliminator. So
He could fight Sandhagen, and that could be a title eliminator. There's a lot of good fights for Aldo.
So if I'm Jose Aldo, I'm waiting because I want my next fight to be a title eliminator. I want to take the shortest path to that next title shot. So I think Dillashaw's a good option. If he gets another title eliminator offer on the table, no brainer. But otherwise, that Dillashaw one, December's way too early. But that Dillashaw one would be fucking sick. I'd be very excited for that.
Aldo, from a PR point of view, did a really good job in the fight week of selling the idea that he was given the title shots at bantamweight too early before he had a chance to accustom to it. Not in an excuse kind of way, just in like after self-reflection and saying, I took the wrong approach. I dived straight in at the deep end. It's all the kind of stuff that's going to go really well if he's trying to angle for a title eliminator shot next time around. Now that he's got two in a row, it could happen. I'd love to see Aldo become a two division champ. Just such a way to kind of rid himself of the Conor McGregor stain and the fact that people don't remember his legacy in the same way. It'd be like DC being able to win a belt in a weight class that's away from all these other people that kind of are viewed as stealing your greatness.
Oh, for sure. And, I really thought if he was ever going to be a two-weight champ, it would be 55 and 45, but it's just blowing everyone's minds.
So you've got...
I've got no more news now. Nothing good.
I've got a bit of news that I tweeted about. Sent WhatsApp to you guys when I found out. I was quite happy with this. Last week's show, we're talking about who should Sean Strickland fight next. some genius here was like, man, I think that Luke Rockhold fight is just right. 2 days later, the UFC, clearly listening to the podcast, get that fight booked straight away. You're welcome, Dana White, Sean Shelby. We've already picked some good fights today. Steal all of them. Give us credit if you want to. It's okay. But as soon as one of the fights that we've suggested today happens, we know you're watching.
Khabib Oliveira would be a really good fight.
Khabib Oliveira would be a great fight. I don't think it's going to happen.
One of them's retired.
Did anyone see that Khabib went on hotboxing with Mike Tyson?
Yeah, I saw a little bit about what he said about McGregor.
Tyson was all over the
fair
shop.
Enough.
Like Henry Cejudo was there. I think he sort of jumps on as like a kind of like regular sort of intermediary. It was basically the Cejudo Khabib podcast. I was worried about Tyson, to be honest. He doesn't look well.
No?
Maybe he was just really high. It's very
probably.
Possible. But Khabib talking about McGregor, quote of the whole podcast, I wanted to bite his heart. This is how angry he was. And he basically said when McGregor tapped, he was just like, you man, you say you're this warrior, this tough guy. I think you go to sleep. I'm sure you go to sleep. And then you tap just like that. It was like, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. I wanted to bite your heart. But Jesus Christ.
I'm going to check it out.
Mike Tyson. I mean, maybe it's the Mike Tyson. He's just like, this man, he bites ears, he eats children. It's okay. I'm safe. It's all right. One thing noticed as well, Henry Cejudo, way more likable guy when he's not doing his King of Cringe spiel. It's the first time I've seen Cejudo just be on talking for like an hour and not like wanting to strangle him.
Well, I mean, he did the corny shit because he enjoyed it, you know. I remember seeing the guy coming up in interviews and everything, just being like, yeah, it's a cool guy. And everyone else is like, he's the king of cringe. And I always forgave Chael Sonnen. Of course I was going to forgive Cejudo, but I'll go check that podcast out. It does sound cool.
Very nice. And aside from that, guys, only other thing I can report is I haven't watched The Suicide Squad yet, but I'm going to tonight.
Nice.
We have no pick show this week because there is no UFC, so we will be back next week for a kind of preview show for Cannonier, Gastelum, and a little bit of a roundup on what happened in Bellator and PFL. For now, guys, have a great week, and bye Dave, bye Laurie.
Bye Dave, bye Laurie.